Hi everyone, you're welcome to VA Fashion's YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be sharing with us how to make this beautiful button down high-low flat shirt with necktie. And I'll also be showing us how to make the pencil skirt we have at the down part. So this is a two-piece outfit we are making in this video. If this is something you're interested in learning, you want to make sure to keep on watching till the end. And if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please make sure to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure that you put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thank you, and let's get right into the video. First, we're going to start with drafting the pencil skirt. And we're going to be drafting the front and back together at the same time. So to determine the amount of fabric to fold for the front, I'm going to divide the hip measurement, which is the biggest measurement of the down part. The hip measurement divided by 4, and that gave me 10.5 plus 2 inches. That's 12.5 inches. 2 inches is for ease and for sewing allowance. So I'm adding a total of 2 inches for the front. So that's 12.5. And then for the back, I'm going to add 1.5 to that measurement. So that will be 14 inches. So for the back, we're having 14 inches because I added 1.5 extra. And that 1.5 extra is for our zip allowance. And you see, so as you can see, my fabric is already on fold. And you'll notice that the one on top, I labeled it F. And the one underneath, I labeled it B. And you can see the point I'm marking here. This point I'm marking is the 1.5 I said that is our zip allowance. Can you see? So I'm going to label it ZA. Can you see? I just labeled it. So all our measurements will be starting from that point where I have that line, the line I marked. So you can see that our center front, that's the folded part of our front fabric, is starting from that line. That's away from the zip allowance. Okay. So next I'm going to mark the waistline. So here's our starting point, which is the waistline. So from the waistline, I'm going to mark the hip line. Now this skirt is going to have a waistband. I'm going to be subtracting the band measurement and mark the hip line. And the band measurement is 1.5 inches. In this case, I'm subtracting 1 inch because we need half inch to join the skirt and the band together. So placing my tape from 1 inch, that's from -1, I marked the hip line, the knee line, so you can see I'm rolling them out, and then the full length of the skirt plus the hemming allowance. Okay, so having ruled out all the lines, I'm going ahead to label them. The first line is the waistline, the second is the hip, the knee, and then the full length. So here on the waistline, I'm going to enter the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch for that, and then 2 inches for our allowance. Then on the hip line, I'm going to enter the hip measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. Then I'm going to subtract 1.5 from what I have on the hip line and enter it on the knee line. So on the hip line, I have 12.5, so minus 1.5, that's 11 inches. We're making a pencil skirt, so this is to make the skirt taper. So the measurement I have on the knee line, I entered it also on the on the hem line, I beg your pardon. So I'm going ahead to connect the points using my straight ruler. And you see, so that's that for the side front. So next we're going to have to do some alterations at the back, at the center back. First, we do not want our zipper to gape at the back. We don't want any zipper bulge. So here on the waistline, I'm going to subtract, I'm going to reduce this measurement I have here. So you can see I'm marking half inch. I have a zip allowance of 1.5, so I marked out half inch there. Then I skipped the hip line. I got down to the knee line. On the knee line, I'm going to mark 1 inch. Remember our zip allowance is 1.5. Now I marked 1 inch on the knee line, and I also marked it on the hem line. So this is to create that nice bomb illusion so that the skirt is not straight at the back. So it gives that nice shape that shows that there's a butt at the back. And as you can see, I've connected the points So I connected from that 1 inch. I marked 1 inch from the I marked a straight line from the knee to the hem, and then I used my straight ruler to connect it to the hip line. So you can see that on the hip line, nothing was removed. You can see that. And then I also connected to the waistline, that half inch I marked there. Okay, so you can see our skirt is no longer straight at the back. So now, but the 1 inch we removed on the knee and on the hem, we will have to replace it back. If you don't replace it, the skirt will be too tight. So I came here to the side. Can you see? I marked the same 1 inch on the knee line, and I also marked it on the hem line. And I'm also going ahead to connect the points like this. So I basically transferred 1 inch from the center back to the side back just to create that bomb illusion. Then for the waistline, the half inch I removed there, I'm not returning it. We are throwing it away because we want our skirt to sit perfectly at the back and not gape or give us any zipper bulge, because our waist is smaller at the back. Okay, next I'm going to come down by 1 inch from the center front. I'll come down by 1 inch from the waistline, and this is for the waist sloper. And you can see I'll use my straight ruler to connect it to the side here. So this is to avoid any gathering in front of our skirt. If you don't take this out, the skirt is going to gather in front because our waistline is not straight in front. Okay, so this is it. So right now we are done drafting our skirt. You can see, so the first mark we have here is the back marking, and the one inside is the front. So I'm cutting on the back first. Can you see? I'm cutting on the back marking first. So we're cutting the back first, then we're going to separate the front from the back, and then we'll cut the front. So you can see, so this is me taking out the zipper bulge, and then I'm taking out that 1 inch that we have already transferred to the side. Can you see? So this is it. So next I'm going to mark my dart. I skipped that point. So I'm going to mark the dart. Remember, I already added that allowance. So from the center front here, I'm marking the bust span divided by 2, which is 4 inches. So I mark the same 4 inches. The length of the dart is 5.5. So I marked half inch on both sides of the bust span line, and this is me connecting my darts. Can you see? So our front dart is 5.5 inches in length. So I also marked the same point on the back piece. And then for the back dart, it is 6.5 inches in length. I also marked the bust span of same 4 inches, and this is our dart here. So I'll notch the dart point, and I'm doing the same thing here also. I'll notch the dart point. Okay, so next I'm going to separate the front from the back, as you can see. Then I'll take out the waist sloper from the front, and then I'll go ahead and cut the side front. So now you can see we've separated the back from the front, so we cut on the actual front marking. So this is what our skirt looks like when you place them together. Can you see? So by the time we stitch, our 1.5 inches will return back to the center back, but you can see it is no longer straight. This is to show you that there's a butt at the back. It gives the bum that nice and beautiful shape. Okay, so the next thing I went ahead to do was to cut the skirt band, that's the waistband, and this is 2.5 inches on fold, and then in width I have the waist measurement plus 4 inches, which is a total of 36 inches. I added extra 4 inches to this measurement because we're going to have that overlapping effect for our skirt hook. Okay, so and I also ironed gum stay to both sides of the band. So next I'll bring in my fabric so that we can draft our top. So to draft the top, I'm going to fold my fabric in a triangle shape. Can you see that the fabric is open? So I'm going ahead to fold in a triangle shape. Did you see that? So I'm folding in a triangle shape, and then I'm going to bring in my iron and press it down. So the folded part is going to be the center back, while the part that is open will serve as the side back. We're going to be drafting the back first before we draft the front. Remember, it's a shirt, it has a button down in front. Okay, So here I've placed my fabric on fold. Then I'll go ahead and mark the shoulder line. So from the smaller part of the triangle, that's from the apex, I'm just going to find where I can get the shoulder measurement. And you can see that the upper part of the triangle is smaller. So I'm just going to place my tape till I get the shoulder measurement. So like I already said that the folded part is the center back. Okay, so placing my tape from the center back, can see that I have the shoulder measurement divided by 2 here. So this part is enough to give us our shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. So I'll go ahead and mark this shoulder line there. Then on this shoulder line, I'll mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. And then I marked the neck width of 3 inches. I came down by 1 inch from the shoulder measurement and I connected it to the neck width. So now we have our shoulder slant. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is to come down by the armhole measurement. So from this shoulder slant, I'm going to mark the armhole measurement, which is 7.8 inches. So I'll come down by that 7.8. But you can see that this side of our triangle, as we're coming down, the triangle is becoming wider. So having marked that 7.8, I will go ahead and mark the shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement at that point where I got the 7.8, the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half. So can you see? And then I will go ahead and confirm that 7.8 inches, which is her armhole measurement. So you can see how that place now goes in. Please just take note of what I just said here. So make sure that you go and also you go down there and confirm the shoulder measurement divided by 2. So make sure to mark it down there. That's when you have gotten the armhole line. Okay, so on this line now, I'm going to mark the bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. And then I'll go ahead and connect the armhole. Okay, so this is it. So that point, the armhole line is also the chest line. Can you see? So now we now have our armhole. So I went in by half inch at the midpoint of that armhole, and then I connected it to the bust measurement on the chest line or the armhole line, depending on what you want to call it. They are the same. So now from this starting point, I'm going to measure the length of the top. So 28 inches. Take note, I placed my tape from the folded part and I marked 28 inches round. So I'll go ahead and connect using my straight ruler from just the length to the chest line. Remember that on the chest line, I entered the bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches. So I just went ahead to connect it. That's just it. So you don't need any other measurement. And then for the neck depth, the back is half inch. I marked half inch for the neck depth, you can see, and the neck width is 3 inches. So I'm going ahead to cut it out. So you can see the shape it has. Okay. So because it is a flare, so it cannot just go straight like our normal outfit. So you want to make sure to put into consideration all these measurements I talked about. So now we're done drafting the back and we have cut it out. So this is what our flare looks like. This is what the back looks like. So I'm also going to fold my fabric again in a triangle shape so that we can cut out the front. So to cut the front, you can see my fabric is already folded. So I'm placing the back piece over the front piece. Can you see? So I'm not placing the folded part to align. I'm placing them in a way that I'm leaving 2.5 inches from the folded part for the front. And this is our button allowance. That's for the button placket. Okay, so I went in by 2.5 inches and I placed it. And you see? So I'll go ahead and mark out the shoulder line so that we know where we're starting from. Next, I'm going to mark the armhole. I'm just tracing out the armhole. And then next, I'm going to mark the length of the top. So placing my tape from the center front, can you see? That's from the folded part. I'm measuring the length of the top. Now remember it's a high-low top we're making. So the front length is 19 inches while the back length is 28 inches. So from the center front, I marked that 19 inches, and then at the side, I still marked the 28 inches. Remember that the side will be stitched to the side back, so it has to be 28 inches. So you can see I've connected from the side to the center front. So the side is 28 inches while the center front is 19 inches. So I used my straight ruler to connect the 2 points. Okay, so next I'll come down by the neck depth. So I'm using a neck depth of 3 and a neck width of same 3 inches. So this is me just going ahead to mark out that button placket of 1.5 inches so that we know where our center front starts. So I marked a neck depth of 3 inches, 3 by 3, neck width 3 inches, neck depth 3 inches, and this is it here. Can you see? So now the next thing I'm going to do is to reshape the armhole. So the front armhole is a little more inwards by 1/4 inch. So you can see I drew it out. So I'm just going in by extra 1/4 inch just so that we eliminate unnecessary excess that we don't need in front, because our front armhole is deeper than the back armhole, just like the normal way we draft our basic bodies. Okay, so that's just it. So now you will notice that our shoulder slant looks straight, as if we didn't do a shoulder slant. This is because we placed our fabric on bias, that's in a triangle shape. So this is why it's looking like this. So now I came down by extra 1 inch again so that we can take care of that shoulder slant. So by coming down by extra 1 inch, that means I'm going to increase the depth of the armhole. Can you see that? So I'm going to increase the depth of the armhole. So that's why I came down there. This is because this is unbiased. You don't want to leave the shoulder. That's the shoulder slant straight. If not, it's going to look it's going to be how now it's going to be sticking out on the shoulder area. It will look high, it will not look balanced, it will not have that slopey nature that normally our shoulder slant usually has. So I came down by extra 1 inch for the shoulder slant. Okay, so that means I'm doing a shoulder slant of 2 inches. Okay, but I'm going to show us how to now increase the armhole depth, because by coming down by extra 1 inch, that means that the armhole has reduced by 1 inch. So that means we have 6.8. So you can see how I'm placing my tape from there. So I'm coming down by 1 inch now, so I'm replacing that 1 inch. Can you see? So now I've increased the depth of the armhole. So when you are drafting this, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. When you do your shoulder slant, after cutting it out, it looks as if it is just straight. So you need to come down more, and then you now increase the depth of the armhole. So you can see I've cut out the length of the top. You can see the center front is quite short while the back is longer. Okay, so this is it. So I cut the neckline without cutting the button placket. This is so that by the time we are done folding the button placket, we can now cut the neckline. That's to cut out the excess that we don't need. So here I'm going ahead to fold in 1/2 inch. You see? I'll fold in 1/2 inch first, and then I'll fold 1 inch. So by folding 1/2 inch, then 1 inch, that means our bottom placket is going to be 1 inch. So 1 inch will overlap, that's on each other for our bottom placket. So this is it. So I'll press the second one and then take this to my sewing machine and stitch the bottom placket down. So you can see I pressed the both of them. So this is what we're going to have. So now I can now go ahead and trim out that excess. You can see how I just cut out the bottom placket, and then any pointiness, I'll take it out. So this is what our flare top, our flare crop top looks like in front already. So the next thing we're going to do is to draft our basic sleeve. And here I folded my fabric into four. So the straight part, I'm just going to use this folded part as the hem of the sleeve, and then upwards I'll use it as the starting point of the sleeve. So the line I marked is the starting point of the sleeve, and I came down by the cap's height of 3.5 inches. And I marked the armhole measurement there and also the sewing allowance of 2 inches. So this is the length of our sleeve, and then what I have left is the hemming allowance. On the full length of the sleeve, I marked the upper round arm measurement plus 2 inches, and then I also marked it at the hem of the sleeve. Then I came out by extra half inch. This is so that the sleeve, when you fold it, it will not have any shortage. I just used my free hand and I connected it to the cap's height line. I've done a detailed video on how to draft a basic sleeve. So just in case you didn't understand clearly what I did here, I will drop the link to the video in the comment section and also in the description box. So please do well to watch it. I decided not to do a detailed video on how to draft a basic sleeve here so that it doesn't make our video longer than necessary. Okay, so here is our skirt pattern. This is our skirt piece. You can see I've also cut lining, and you can see that I've stitched my dart and I've stitched the center back close, and then I went ahead to sew the zipper to the center back. And you see, and I also have a slit at the down part of the skirt. So the length of our sleeve is about 19 inches. So from the waistline, I came down by 10 inches, which is this zipper opening, and then I stitched close and stopped 19 inches away from the hem. You see, so I stitched close and stopped 19 inches away from the hem. And you can see I used the lining to turn the skirt, so and see everything is neat. This is what it looks like in front, and I've shaped on the actual sewing allowance I added. Remember, I added 2 inches for my sewing allowance, but I stitched here on 1.5 inches because we used half inch to turn our lining. So this is basically it for the skirt. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to sew the band, the waistband to the skirt. And here's our waistband. You can see I've stitched one side on half inch and then I pressed it open. You see? And then I folded the two edges with half inch. So here I'm going to open up the zipper so that we can stitch our band to it. So here our zipper, I'm going to place the zipper on the wrong side, I beg your pardon. So place on the wrong side first. I'm making sure that I'm placing, it's aligning with the crease line. The crease line where I ironed, the edges I ironed half inch. So I'm making sure to align it with the half inch I ironed here. And you'll notice that the band, I'm not starting exactly from the beginning. I left about 2 inches. That's why I made the band measurement 4 inches more than the waist circumference. This is so that it overlaps, okay? So I'll go ahead and pin this all the way to the other side. I'll be pinning on the crease line I created. So after pinning the band, I'll take this to my sewing machine and stitch exactly on that crease line, and which is what I have done, as you can see. And I also went ahead to stitch this side close. I stitched the other side close too. So now we're going to flip the band, just turn it out. Okay, so I'll turn it out also by making sure to notch the edges so that it's flat when you turn it out. And then here we are. So I'll just fold the band over like this and then pin it down. So you want to make sure that you secure this very well with your pins, and then I'll take this to my sewing machine and top stitch on the band. While top stitching on the band, I'll make sure that I'm stitching very close to the edge. That's very close to the edge so that it keeps the band in place. Okay, so I'll go do this and then I'll show us the next thing to do. For the top, I've joined the shoulders together, the front and back shoulders, you can see. And then I also went ahead to stitch the basic sleeves to the armhole. So I placed it on the right side and I stitched the armhole. I went ahead to weave it and I've also hemmed the sleeves. So now the next thing we're going to do is to shape the top. I'll be stitching on 1 inch. And you see how I placed the sleeves opening facing each other, right side facing right side, and I'll stitch on 1 inch all the way down to the hem. I'll do the same thing on the other side, and you see, and then I'll go ahead and weave the hem of our top and then I'll fold half inch. That's I'll stitch half inch down, which is what I have done. So you can see I've joined the sides. I also went ahead to weave the down part before hemming on half inch. You want to just make sure to fold this on half inch. This is so that it gives it that nice wavy look. So you don't want to fold too much here. And I've cut out the rope we're going to be using for our tie, and the length of this rope is 36 inches on fold. So that means when I open it up, it's going to be 72 inches. And then again on fold, the rope is 2.5 inches on fold. So that means when it's open, that's 5 inches. So the length is 72 inches on fold. The width is 2.5 inches, and I folded in half inch. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get the midpoint of this rope. Can you see I folded into two? I got the midpoint. I'll go ahead and notch it. And then I will also do the same thing on the top. I'll notch the center back. So now the part I notched on the rope, I'm going to place the notch part to make sure that it aligns with the notch part on the neckline. And I'm placing this from the back, that's from the reverse side of the fabric. Then I'm pinning round the neckline. So the essence of getting the midpoint is so that the excess that will come out on the left will be the same thing as the one that will come out on the right, so that one side of the tie is no longer than the other side. So here we are. So you can see I've pinned the tie to both sides of the neckline. So this is what we're going to do. So I'll take this to my sewing machine and I will stitch. Now to take a close look at what I'm doing. I'll place the tie, right side of the tie facing right side, and then I'm going to stitch. See how I'm opening up the crease line? I'll stitch on half inch at the edge here, and then I'll stitch on that crease line, stitch, and then stop exactly at the neckline where the neckline stops. Can you see? I will start from the opened part, and then I'll stitch on the crease line all the way to where the neckline is. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side. So after doing that, I will now stitch on the neckline, that half inch I pinned on the neckline. After stitching on the neckline, then I'll come show us how to turn it inside out so that we can top stitch it. So this is it, and you see I've stitched close the other side, and I've also done the same thing. So this is me now turning out our rope. I'll turn it out. I'll make sure to just cut out the parts that will make cause any thickness. So I'll turn it out and then give it a nice press and show us how we're going to top stitch the tie to the neckline. Okay, so as you can see, I'm done pressing and this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to pin the tie over the right side now. So this open part, this is the part that is open from one side of the neckline to the other. We've stitched the other sides already. So I'm using my pins to secure it. I'll take this to my sewing machine and then make a top stitch very close to the edge, and then I'll also create buttonholes and fix my buttons to the other side of the placket, and we are done with our two-piece high-low flat top with necktie on a pencil skirt. And you can see how beautiful this outfit turned out to be, and it was really looking very beautiful on my client when she came in for fitting. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video, and do not hesitate to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye.